Books here. Just making a little video regarding my thoughts on patch 4.20. Just mainly want to focus on the jungle changes. I've played quite a lot of the patch now, and I'm really enjoying what Riot have done. I feel this patch has created a lot more room for flexible playstyles, as well as the introduction or reintroduction of different champions. And so far, yeah, just really enjoyed it. I want to mainly focus on the jungle items, the changes to Smite, as well as the changes to Baron and Dragon buff. And then just talk a little bit about how it impacts the meta and some of the stronger champions. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about the jungle items. Obviously, they've eliminated the Spirit and Wriggle's Lantern items, and have increased the amount of gold that Hunter's Machete costs. This is, in my opinion, quite important because non-sustained junglers such as Rengar and Lee Sin don't have those extra pots for their first clear, which kind of eliminates their ability to make pressure at level 3. So it's honestly whether it's kind of created a little bit of a gap between sustained and non-sustained junglers on this patch, where we've seen a little bit of a resurgence in champions like Warwick and Fiddle because they're not as reliant on health pots for their first clear. And as they've removed, the Spirit and the Lantern, they've introduced the Poacher's Knife, the Ranger's Trailblazer, the Skirmisher's Saber, and the Stalker's Blade. I'll talk a little bit about all of these items and my thoughts on these items in terms of, the positives and negatives. First of all, I'll talk about the Stalkers a little bit. I tried this a couple of games. I feel that Stalkers is probably the weakest out of all these items. I feel that you don't need this proc as a jungler generally. And the skirmishes overall is just a lot better on the champions you'd actually buy one of these items on, because on champions that don't need smite to clear their jungle, you'd probably consider getting one of these two items. But overall, they're mainly champions such as Warwick and Master Yi, and this proc is just a lot stronger on the skirmishes saber. So the Stalker's Blade, in my opinion, is just not worth it generally on most champs. I mean, you could argue to me that on some like other champs that I probably haven't tried yet, it could be decent. But yeah, just for me so far, the Stalker's Blade is probably the weakest out of all the items. But the skirmishes on the champions I was talking about before, such as Warwick and Master Yi, it can be quite significant as they don't rely on smite to clear the jungle. They're able to use this on champions and do just a crazy amount of damage with their auto attacks. I think you'll see a Warwick, ulting with this, and he gets a proc on all of his ult procs for the true damage. And Warwick ult at the moment with the skirmishes just does a crazy amount of damage. But yeah, apart from situational champions like that, you generally want to look to get the Ranger's Trailblazer. Just because I feel like the reduced cooldown of Smite is just really significant. It allows for a lot more flexibility in your jungle pathing and stuff like that. It also means that your Smite will be up for big objectives like Dragon and Baron more often. The 60-second cooldown on Smite is quite brutal to play with, honestly. Especially, I'll use Rengar as an example again. If you don't have the Ranger's Trailblazer, it's just so rough to clear your jungle and like have enough sustain to actually make any impact on the game, which in my opinion is why range is so important. Just as I said, the reduction on cooldown on Smite and also the extra sustain that it offers is just really good at the moment. And pretty much I think on every champion you can go the Ranger's Trailblazer at the moment, and it's a really effective item. There's the Poacher's Knife, which is again another situational item. On champions like Shaco and Shyvana, sorry, you can get some good counter jungling off. And the move speed buff is actually quite good to get away, so you don't get caught in the enemy jungle. This item is also quite good because on this patch, the respawn time of neutral camps has been increased, actually doubled, from 50 to 100 seconds, which is just insane. So if you're able to counter jungle, get the bonus gold, and get out and not get caught, Poacher's Knife can actually be a really nice item in some situations. So yeah. talk a little bit about the neutral camps and the introduction of smite rewards, which I'm really enjoying this patch. As I said before, I feel it creates quite a bit of flexibility to the jungle role, and just yeah, really overall just enjoying it at the moment. So first of all, looking at the blue Sentinel and the red Brambleback, obviously used to be the Lizard Elder and blue Golem. What they've done here is essentially increase the rewards of the small monsters, but decrease the rewards of the bigger monsters. This is because I think mainly because they don't want people counter jungling and just leaving the little minion behind. Gives more of an incentive to clear the whole camp. I think the main thing here is that for smiting red buff, I feel, which is the red Brambleback, is quite essential on non-sustained junglers at the moment. If you don't have smite up for your red on your first clear, you generally can't do the full clear before you back. And then having a look at the other changes, we have the Krugs. Smiting the Krugs, generally I wouldn't do unless it's on your first clear, especially on auto attack champions. Having the stun every first and fifth hit can help you with your clear if you wanted to start red buff side. But generally, I like starting Gromp. This allows me to smite Gromp and then have my smite again up for the red buff because you can go to Gromp, to blue, to red, which on non-sustained junglers at the moment I feel is the strongest path. Smiting Gromp gives you the return damage, the return poison damage over 3 seconds, and is quite good. Even late game, smiting Gromp isn't too bad, having that thorn damage. But overall, I think that smiting Raptors at the moment gives the most beneficial reward mid late game, and even early, in the lane phase after your first clear. Having essentially a free upgraded sweeping lens when you're going to gank lanes is just so strong, and you pretty much want to have your smite whenever Raptors are up just to get that bonus. And which is, as I said before, like having the jungle item that reduces the cooldown of smite is just really important, so you can get these bonuses and make the most of them around the map. And lastly, there's the Merkwolves, which in most situations I'd say Merkwolves aren't the best to have your smite up for. Situationally, it could be okay. If you see the enemy team invading, you might want to smite the Merkwolves to get vision of your blue buff. But generally, smiting Raptors, in my opinion, is the best for smite rewards. And all the neutral camps at the moment, there's more of an incentive, as I said before, to clear the smaller monsters. But they do have the increased respawn time, which in my opinion makes counter jungling a lot stronger. And yeah. Lastly, I wanted to look a little bit at the Dragon and Baron buffs. Firstly, I'll just have a look at the Crest of Cinders and Crest of Insight, which are obviously the red and blue buff. Their duration has been decreased by 30 seconds, which is a little bit of an indirect nerf to Runic Affinity. However, Runic Affinity got indirectly buffed because of the fact that you get rewards from smiting every other neutral camp. So yeah, just a quick little point there. But yeah, looking at Dragon first of all. So essentially, what happens every time your team kills a dragon, everyone gets a stack from Dragon buff. So first of all, there's Dragon's Might. Then on your second stack, Dragon's Dominance, which has 15% damage to minions and monsters. Then you get the 5% movement speed, then the 15% damage to turrets and buildings. Sorry, I forgot to mention the 8% total attack damage and ability power on the first stack. And then I think the most significant thing about the change to Dragon is the fifth stack. You get all these bonuses doubled for 180 seconds, which is just insane. Having on all of your team members. Once you get the fifth stack of Dragon, it's really what will separate the teams going into the late game. The gold differences between teams mid late game isn't as significant as it used to be because Dragon and Baron don't offer the gold that they used to. But these changes to the buffs are what makes a team stronger than another team going to mid and late game. But obviously, there's no more Dragon Bounty and no more experience, but I feel that Dragon and Baron buff on this patch are probably the most important objectives at the moment, especially when you're getting towards that fifth stack of Dragon. These bonuses are just insane. So have a look at Baron changes. Obviously, there's all these changes to the bonuses to minions. Don't want to read through them all, but essentially you get pretty big buffs to all your minions. I assume Riot's doing this to promote a bit of minion control. But yeah, these buffs overall, like if you stack them with these buffs, your minions just are so strong, and like sieging is a lot better. It's a lot easier to push your advantage mid late game. And as I said before, this is why I feel that Baron and Dragon are just the most significant objective at the moment. Obviously, as on top of that, Baron is no longer the same as it used to be. It has quite a few different abilities when you're fighting it. But yeah, as I said, again, Dragon and Baron are making it so in my opinion, I feel that split pushing isn't as strong at the moment. I feel like grouping and getting vision around these objectives and winning these objectives win games at the moment. That's mainly what I wanted to focus on today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Any advice is welcome to leave in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching. I'd like to make a quick shout out to Logitech for supporting our team. They've been a big help lately. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.